Turkey bacon, turkey bacon, turkey bacon sandwich. Turkey bacon, turkey bacon, turkey bacon sandwich.
I want Hilary Swank in the next Terminator movie so bad.
There is nothing in this world that you give me to do to hug a robot.
It's because it's so incredible and intricate that it's impossible not to notice.
Music's the core of this movie.
I was born again to watch this movie.
You'll find redeeming things and you'll be thinking about it for a long time afterwards.
There was no bone saw.
Just John hamming it up over here.
2.5 out of 3 of us recommend it.
Everybody loves talking about movies. Let's talk about movies.
Welcome, one and all, to the Pause Rewind Play special on our top 10 Pixar films. Oh my goodness.
I didn't know this was a special.
It is a special.
I feel special now.
It's special because I'm here.
Hey!
So, once again, we're short Vince on this episode, but we have invited in the specialist of special guests, Allie, my wonderful wife.
What's up?
How are you doing today, Al?
I'm doing quite well. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. You got your nails done? They look very nice.
I did get my nails done. Everybody should go see Jordan Geeds. I think that's how you say her last name. Dang it. But her Instagram handle is @polishedpublic. Shout out to the people that do our nails.
Yes. Me and my ability to bite my nails is far inferior to her ability to do our nail art. So, yeah, we're actually going to be chatting a little bit about our Pixar films, our top 10. Josh, kind of what inspired this thought of like doing an episode on Pixar films, and how do you feel about it?
Obviously, I love Pixar. I feel like watching all of their movies, and maybe other people disagree about this, even if some of them aren't as good, I don't feel like Pixar has ever made a bad movie. I feel like Pixar takes a lot of time with their movies. They work closely with Disney, and they make sure that they put out a quality product that is both gorgeous to look at animation-wise. Obviously, Toy Story was their first movie, and that changed the game animation-wise, as well as story and content, and making you learn things and making you feel things. Even when you're just going to see a kid's movie and be entertained, they're like, hey, we're going to take this awesome opportunity that we've made, and we've got you as our captive audience, to help you sort of, learn stuff about yourself. So,
Were you alive when Toy Story came out?
I was
No.
not.
He was not.
He was not.
As
What
his
year was
sister,
it?
I can confirm. I'm actually pretty sure it came out.
Wasn't it 90 or 91? Searching.
Toy
dot.
Story.
It's like
1995. I was going to guess
1995.
94.
I was like,
So Allison was alive, but I was not.
I remember watching Toy Story in the theater
So there's Casey in relation
as
to
a little
us.
boy. I made a face. I was just like,
Oh, sorry.
it's a face like this. I also remember seeing The Lion King. I remember seeing a lot of films in theater as a kid.
Oh, I
but
loved The Lion
I
King.
remember
Not
Lion
Pixar,
King
but-
all the time.
I know, but I'm just telling you what movies I remember seeing. But I remember watching Toy Story in the theater and like watching my toys suspiciously for like the following couple of years. I don't know if anyone else has done that, but straight up, I swear my toys moved by themselves for years, and I would tell my mom that, and she would just roll her eyes. And she still has yet to become a believer, but I guarantee they're moving.
I
So
was about to say, now as adults, we all know the truth that Toy Story is based on fact, not fiction.
Yep.
yes,
Of course.
facts. Earlier this week, our last episode, we kind of talked about Inside Out, which led to a discussion of why Pixar films are great, which now, like 3 hours later from maybe, or less, like more like 45 minutes later from recording last one, we convinced Al to come in here, and before I feed our house and talk Pixar movies.
We have to feed our house. It's very, very high maintenance.
Y'all ever seen Monster House?
We just have to like make sure that we give it food every day.
That's why I walk in and out of the door.
Yep.
We are
We're
food.
the very high maintenance house that we
Human
have.
feeding. No, Allie and I have to eat, and I'm hungry too. So let's kind of dive into it. The way we're going to do this, actually, I want to give a couple of facts about Pixar as an animation studio as far as that
Yes.
goes.
And as Casey pulls that up, I did also... Sorry, I had to throw this out
Yes.
to shout out. I do it all the time to shout out Rogo Tours because they were also one of the inspiring... How could I say that? One of the moving forces behind doing a Pixar ranking list, because they also have done a Pixar ranking list where they rank, I don't know if it's all of them or they rank their top 10. So go check out theirs as well.
Well, I'll do it then. Okay, so Pixar, it was founded in 1979 as a part of the Lucasfilm Computer Division, also known as the Graphics Group. So they worked on a couple of, Steven Spielberg's films, and eventually They kind of became their own breakout group. They had technology and stuff like that. Steve Jobs was in there, Ed Catmull. So actually, I also want to talk about Ed Catmull a little bit. He launched a book or kind of talking about his life at Pixar called Creativity Inc., which I truly loved. It was very cool to kind of like hear the processes, hear the story of Pixar. So I just want to kind of shout that out. And as of 2020, Pixar has released 22 feature films. So that's a little bit of the background about this company. And also the little lampshade guy that is on their logo was originally done as a promotional graphic to show off the abilities of their computers that they were creating, like software they're creating, and ended up becoming part of their logo.
The one with the lampshade and the ball?
Yeah.
And the baby lampshade.
Yes.
We would always watch that. That would go on the VCRs, before you had the ability to change, your options and pick like the DVD. The special features would just run after the movie. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember which one it was. It might have been A Bug's Life or it might have been Toy Story that short ran after the movie on the VCR that we had.
I remember watching it.
Well, I didn't know that, but I will have to go back.
There was
and
also
find
the
classic
one with the old guys playing chess.
It's the same guy.
Well, yeah, the old guy.
I don't remember it.
Oh, come on. You have to have seen that one. That one's famous.
I'm sorry.
We'll look it up and watch it tonight.
I don't watch. I'm not part of the trendy group. I was cool before it was cool.
That's true.
I wear scarves in the summer. Just kidding.
That's just being stupid. Not cool anymore.
But anyhow, so what we're going to do is we're all going to dive through really quickly from we're going to do a list of 10, but we're going to do our bottom 5 first. So Josh, you want to start with your bottom 5?
Yeah. So we'll kind of just fly through these bottom 5, and I think some of us have them ranked, some of us not, but it's all good. These are my bottom 5, and like I said, we'll kind of just go through them really quick. Number 10 is Finding Nemo for me. Classic. Very, very good. And actually, when I was re-examining my list, because I've had a Pixar ranking list for a very long time, I was actually looking at this one and it actually jumped a few spots. And that's because I was thinking about it. The score is beautiful. I have a couple of the songs from the score saved on my Spotify. It's excellent. Number 9 is WALL-E, one that picks up very mixed reviews from a lot of people. My wife, in fact, does not hate it, but she does not enjoy it. I cannot get her to watch this movie with me to save my life. So that's sad, but very good, very, very incredible with very little script as far as speaking goes.
Yeah.
Number 8 is Cars, also a very original classic. Lightning McQueen and all of that jazz. Very, very good.
Lightning McQueen.
Lightning McQueen. 7, The Incredibles, the original Incredibles. Wow, what a movie. I think I saw it at a friend's house for the first time because it was one of the Pixar movies that our mother originally would not let us watch.
Wait, really?
Yeah, you didn't know that? So I think after we watched it and she watched it, I guess she was like, it's fine. But just since there was like so much like action and fighting and stuff, I think she was.
Oh, yeah, that kind of makes sense.
She was very against it. And so The Incredibles, obviously an amazing movie. And number 6, which will probably be, not probably, obviously, it will be the only time that it's mentioned on any list today. Number 6 for me is Onward. Onward, that everyone needs to, at your own comfort and convenience, check out Onward, because it is very good. It is excellent. It is very moving, an action adventure tale that pulls on your heartstrings. So Onward is my number 6. Those are my 10 through 6
Nice
favorite Pixar films. And if I feel bad to glance over them so fast, but there's so many others. No cheating, sorry. There are so many others that are worth talking about, and it's sad to do all of those.
Allie, give us your bottom ones.
All right, I didn't number them because Casey called me while I was on my way home from my nail appointment to do this.
Are you saying you don't text and drive?
And I am saying that I like to focus on driving when I'm driving. So everybody should get the On My Way app, and you should text me for the link because I want to get points. Anyway, all right, my bottom 5. You can cut that if you want. My bottom 5, which is probably a misnomer because it's not like my least favorite 5. It's just like the bottom half of my list, is Monsters, Inc., Finding Nemo, A Bug's Life, The Incredibles, and Ratatouille. I'm surprised Ratatouille made my list because if you don't know me, I'm so scared of rats and mice. And I physically cannot watch the part in the beginning where the rats like fall down from the ceiling. I can't watch it. I can't listen
that
to
and
it.
She like tenses up and like puts her head
I
under
hate
the
it.
blanket.
It gives me so much anxiety. I have like a legitimate phobia. So, but the rest of it it's a really good message, and it's kind of a fun movie and kind of a weird idea. So it's a fun one. I like it, despite my intense fear of rats. So,
wow.
there you go. Those are my 5 that definitely made the list.
Say them one more time.
Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo, Ratatouille, A Bug's Life, and The Incredibles.
I'm going to be interested to see which ones didn't make your top 10.
Yeah,
Like maybe we can talk about that after because we don't want to spoil which ones are in our upper half of our top 10, but I'm excited to see.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I'm curious now because my list is very much different than yours. So,
Case.
number 10 for me was WALL-E. I think WALL-E is all around just a beautiful film.
It's gorgeous.
Thinking about it, I probably could have put it up a little bit higher because it represents a lot of things I value a lot, like taking care of the planet, and plants and exploration.
And robot love.
And robots. I still won't hug a robot, but good story. Number 9 is Inside Out. I know that in the last podcast I talked very highly about Inside Out. But the nostalgia for me is different for the other films I chose up higher.
And also, number 9 on a list of 22 of all pretty much incredible movies is not bad.
No, not at all.
Very good.
Not bad at all. Number 8 is The Incredibles for me. Love The Incredibles. Think they're great. Fun family film. Adventurous. Great Pixar film. Too bad we had to wait like 10 years to get the second film, but still was good.
Worth the wait.
It was. I'm not going to lie. We went and watched it in this theater. What is it called? I'm not going to say it. We're not putting us where we're at. But we went and saw it in a theater in a local area. Wonderful, great, glorious, even full of children. It was good. This is a children's movie, I guess.
Despite the children.
Despite the children coming to see the children's movie. How dare they have the audacity?
Yeah, those dang kids.
I'm not going to lie. When I went to see Onward, like I sat down and there was like a whole big, probably multiple family. I don't know. But there was a ton of kids like next to us in their seats. And I did kind of like,
You're
it's going to be one of those movies.
You're of the age where like, dang it, kids. No.
Like literally going to see this
Adult
kid's
only
movie.
showing, please.
Yeah. My number 7 is Cars. Life is a Highway. The only reason it's not higher on my list is because my little brother watched it a bajillion times as a kid, and I still cannot get some of the scenes out of my head. But I love the story, love the message. And number 6 for me is Toy Story, the original Pixar film. Great film, like I said, for months, years afterwards. Still believe in my toys. Were getting up and doing stuff without me. And so, yeah, good film. So let's start out with our number 5s on our list. Allie, what was your number 5 film?
My number 5 is Up.
Up? Why Up?
Up is just a feel-good movie. I can never watch that opening sequence without crying.
If you do, you're a monster.
Literally, you cry too, so.
I do.
I cry.
It's just emotional. It's really sweet. It's about, I think we all have a Carl inside of us that's just kind of crotchety and old and
Hates
ahead
football.
of I'm old ahead of my time. I want to yell at kids for walking on my lawn.
She
so
does from inside of our home office.
I glare at them. But it's a good reminder to maybe not glare at the kids from inside the office when they walk on the lawn and just let them have their fun. And just a good reminder about, doing the things in your life that you want to do and taking care of the people that you love the most and that you're closest to.
Am I your Ellie? Is that what you're saying?
I'm definitely Ellie.
So I'm Carl because I wear glasses.
If we're being realistic, let's be honest. You are Ellie and I'm Carl. All right, Josh, what's your number 5?
I'm not gonna lie though, like if I look at you guys, I would say as far as appearances, obviously you guys don't look extremely like them. Casey does look like Carl. And
Halloween
looks like
costume.
It's
Ellie.
kind of a
this year.
squirt.
Casey does have a very much
Done.
Ooh.
Yes. All right. Yeah.
Maybe we should cut that out because otherwise it was
No, it's going in here. Like then people.
Everyone be excited.
Be
for us.
So
excited.
if you want the end to our Halloween
We
costumes,
should
you gotta
do
do it.
movie themed Halloween costumes.
All of
All of us
us.
this year.
Yeah.
And like do like a pause, rewind, play episode about it.
That would be awesome.
That'll be a
Be
video
excited.
episode. Yeah.
Get excited.
Get out. No,
We'll
I'm
make
just kidding.
sure our office is painted first.
Josh, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is a recent one that was nominated for, I think, only one Academy Award, maybe 2, I don't remember. Won it, though, for Best Original Song. That song being Remember Me, and that movie being Coco.
Such a good movie.
Coco is
Remember me.
so good. I was off. I don't remember when Coco came out, but I remember that I didn't see it in theaters. I was kind of like off the train for a long time. And then it was on Netflix. And one night where I was hanging out at my aunt's house, we watched it. And wow, like Coco is so good. It's so moving. Such an amazing story, such an amazing message about family, and such an amazing movie with cultures to be able to bring that culture into Pixar and everything else. And also beautiful. I mean, we talk about how Pixar continues to push the limits with its animation style. Going into that Land of the Dead is some of the most beautiful like shots they've ever seen. Like, I don't doubt that they came up with the idea for Coco and then obviously went from there. But I also wouldn't doubt they'd just be like, hey guys, we really need to like show off like our animation skills. What could we do? Like, well, there's like, we could do a movie about the Mexican Day of the Dead. And like when they go into the afterlife, we could show all this off. And they'd be like, all right, that sounds good. I would not doubt that, because obviously the story and everything is amazing. It is moving. It is touching. The music is great. But like the thing that especially draws me to that is the visual masterpiece that it is. It is incredible. It's beautiful. And like basically all of the movies on my list brings a tear to my eye.
I actually
Yes.
cried a bunch in this. I was really lucky and fortunate to have grown up like surrounded by Latino culture, and the Dia de los Muertos. What a great time. Whew. But I didn't actually add this to my list. Somehow I glanced over and now I feel like a freaking schmuck. But yeah, Coco is amazing. So good job, Josh. Good choice. My number 5 is actually Finding Nemo.
Hey.
Finding Nemo for me was one of those films that really inspired adventure. If you know me, if you've heard me talking, I probably sound like a dweeb most of the time, but I love adventures. I get a real kick out of them. And Finding Nemo for me is like, no kid wants to be separated from their dad or their mother, but also, who doesn't want an adventure down the world's largest ocean current with a freaking sea turtle? Were you raising
I'm
your
good.
hand?
I don't.
You don't want to.
The ocean terrifies
Oh, she
me,
doesn't
you
want to.
guys.
Oh, it terrifies me too, but
It is.
I want an adventure, but not that kind of.
Okay,
We
like-
know less about the ocean than we know about space. That blows my mind. Also, did you see the anglerfish in that movie? That thing is terrifying.
pretty
Okay,
freaky.
yeah, I'll admit it.
I mean, it doesn't make the movie less great. I'm just saying.
I don't want to go to a depth of where I can meet anglerfish, though.
Same.
They're a deep sea fish.
All right.
A lot of
but
pressure.
Ellen,
You make
Ellen,
a very compelling argument.
Ellen is great.
Ellen DeGeneres is in this. Like, I
yes.
can't complain. Dory is the best part about that film, but I loved Finding
Such an
Nemo.
iconic character.
Yeah, Dory.
Mm-hmm.
Beep, burp, burp, burp. Allie, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Brave.
Whoa.
I love Brave. I love the concept of an independent woman who chooses to fight for herself. I also love that she's a redhead, as a redhead myself. And as a redhead with crazy red curly hair. Fun fact, when Casey and I started dating and he was telling people who I was, we were in a particularly small college. And so he would tell people that he was dating that girl on campus that looks like Merida from Brave. And people knew who he was talking about. That's how small our college was. So, but it has a kind of a special place in my heart because of that. But how can I not put a story about a strong, independent redhead on my list? She's funny. She's smart. She knows what she wants out of life. She reminds me more of my little sister than of me. But I aspire to be like my little sister, and so I aspire to be like Merida.
Wonderful. And yes, that is true.
I've never made that comparison until this moment, but you were super right.
Right?
Yes. It's true.
I'm going to do mine, Josh.
All right. Jump on, Case.
Mine is Monsters, Inc. because I love Monsters Inc. so much. And I remember when it came out, and it was scary but fun, and also I think critters and creatures are sweet, so I thought and also Mike and Sully are such an iconic duo. Like, you always want to have a good buddy to always go on great adventures with, and that's what those two were. And so yeah.
I'm going to jump on that train because my number 4 is Monsters Inc. as well. Monsters Inc. is, like so many of Pixar's movies that they do, is such an original thought. Such an original concept that you would never think of unless there was this movie. Hey, they say, what if monsters really existed? You know, the monster under your bed, the monster in your closet. They really existed, but they're doing that, just because it's their job. And it's like what they got to do.
They have an actual purpose.
They live in their world, and they just come through your door, they scare you, and then they get that scream to power their world, and they get out of there. Like, that's such a weird thought, but they make it work so well. And also visually, but also visually amazing, but so interesting when they go. I remember the very first time I watched Monsters Inc. and they go and they take that door into like the door part of the factory.
So good.
It's so crazy. And they do all of like the fun adventure stuff, which is cool, but just seeing all of those doors and them jumping in and out of doors into different worlds, into different places is so cool. And it's amazing. And also so emotional as well with Boo being there and oh my goodness.
All I ever wanted was to go in the and ride those doors and like go into all of like the different places, and that's all I ever wanted. We used to talk about when we were kids, like going on like that as like a ride.
I would find Allie in her room just sneaking up on her closet door and then opening it. Not really, but that I would not doubt if she would sneakily open her door to see if she could catch the monster world.
That does seem like something you would do as like a person who like, I feel this, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna figure out if it's true. You would have probably lodged a pretty large investigation into it.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And Monsters Inc. is pretty old news now. Like, if you talk to someone about Monsters Inc., they'll be like, "Oh yeah, like that was really good." But if you really think about how good Monsters Inc. is, and if you rewatch it, it holds up. It is amazing.
And to think that Monsters Inc. came out the day before my birthday in 2001.
Wow.
Yeah, that's an old movie. I was 11 years old.
Wow.
So
and think how much animation evolved from 1995 when Toy Story came out, which Toy Story was already so cutting edge, to 2001.
Well, I remember
Monsters
like
Inc. came
watching a bonus feature about the animation in Monsters Inc. and they were talking about how difficult it was to do all of the individual hairs of Sully because I mean, as a graphic designer who is a horrible artist, I can't even imagine.
Well, what's crazy is I know that in a number of recent Pixar films, they have had individuals who are specifically assigned to only work on hair, like to make it real enough that people
Imagine that's your whole job.
don't complain about like, oh, the hair wasn't real enough. Can you just imagine though? That's in freaking insane. And Josh, I'm glad that was your number 4.
That is both of our number 4 case.
Yeah. Do you want to do your number 3?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's jump on it. Okay, my number 3 is the only one on my top 10 list that is a sequel. And it is my favorite of this, how can you say, franchise, I guess, this storyline. My number 3 is Toy Story 3. Toy Story 3 is an epic, cute, fulfilling, original, smart continuation to this Toy Story franchise in a way that was so many years later after Toy Story and Toy Story 2, a good and, for me, a better continuation. Because I'm not saying that's really hard to say because Toy Story and Toy Story 2 are also amazing. But I love Toy Story 3 the most because with what they did, not only with the animation, but with what they were able to continue to do and wrap it up in a really good and amazing way was amazing. And they made this really cute but also really good and fun like heist sequence and everything where they're escaping from the daycare and everything, that it brings you to tears and it makes you emotional when they go into the dump and looks like they're gonna be burned up and die, and you're watching this kid's, like, spoilers if you haven't, but you should have seen it.
If you haven't seen it, it's been out for long enough.
It's been out for 10 years, all right?
Disney has some dark stuff. This is what we're saying.
These freaking toys are like falling to their doom, and then you bring back one of the most original things about the Claw to save. Like, Toy Story 3 is one of the best sequels ever. Like, we've talked about best sequels, and we talked about The Dark Knight, and we talked about The Two Towers, and then what was Vince's?
Terminator 2?
Terminator 2, right? Toy Story 3, because even though it's like a third, it's still, a sequel and
Sure.
continuing the story, is definitely up there for one of my best and one of my favorite sequels ever. And it's number 3, and it even pains me to put it at number 3 because of how amazing it is and how much I love it. But incredible. Toy Story 3 is my number 3 Pixar movie.
Allie.
My number 3 is Inside Out. And I don't want to talk too much about it because I know you guys did a whole episode about it. But I just have to say that I saw this movie actually for the first time about a month ago, 2 months ago. Just because as an adult, sometimes you don't see kids movies
All
as
the
much
kids
if you don't have
movies.
kids. And so I saw it for the first time on Disney Plus a couple months ago. And I just fell in love with it. I love the concept that all of our emotions are valid and important and have a seat at the table. So I'll leave it at that because I know you guys have a whole episode on it, but it's a great one.
Would you recommend it to a friend?
10 out of 10.
Wow. That's really hard.
10 out of 10.
That's a really hard thing to beat with that strong of a recommendation.
I would say my top 3 are definitely 10 out of 10.
Wow. I guess I'll have to watch it. Thanks for recommending it. All right. So my number 3 is actually Up. What a powerful film. All around. Visually stunning. The storyline, the character line, the story of the two and their love and just kind of their story is fun. Like, I love that. It's kind of interesting, and I say this because, you look at who you end up pairing off with and who you end up marrying, right? And a lot of times those people seem like the exact opposite of you. And these two just have like such a beautiful story, and I love it. And in ways I can relate, like I said, like when we were joking earlier, how I was like, oh, am I your Ellie, right? And it was kind of like a funny thing because I'm not like being like, oh yeah, Allie's just this square who like doesn't do anything, but like of the two of us, I'm just like this big adventure and big dreamer and kind of like out there thing. And Allie is a lot more grounded than I am, and she helps bring me down, and not in a negative way. It's just like she's like just that what you need. And so it's like wonderful. And like when we watched it for the first time, like it came out after we were married, and
That doesn't
I
seem
don't
right.
think so.
yeah,
2013?
2009 is when Up came out.
Yeah, we definitely weren't married then.
No, after we were married. It came out after we were married. Isn't that what I said?
It came out before
Oh,
we
it came
were
out
married.
before. Oh gosh, I can't speak English, guys. But yeah, it came out before we were married, and so it was kind of fun. Like we watched it when we were dating, actually, and then it's just one I've remembered for a long time. And so yeah, Up. So yeah, I like Up. Number 3 for me. After I can't speak English, but yeah, number 3.
We all did our number 3s, yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
Number 2.
I'll jump on with number 2 then to keep the train rolling with Up. Up is my number 2 Pixar movie, and wow. If you can find me a better opening to a movie with no words that'll make you tear up without fault every single time, hit me up, because I want to watch it, because Up is insane. And I talk about the beginning of the movie because obviously everyone knows it, and you can think about it, and you can hear the ba-da-da-dun, and you could just like start tearing up and thinking about it just with that opening sequence. It shows you a life within that first 5 minutes, and it moves you through slow, through exciting, through devastating, through everything that happens in the life of a person, of a single person, of a couple, of anyone. And it's so moving, and it sets you up to know this man's life story for the movie, which you need to know to be able to understand why he does it and why it's so important to him. And it makes you so emotional, and it makes you feel things, and it maybe even make you think about some people that you know within that first little section, and it sets you up for the entire movie. And that's incredible. But then even after that, we talk about how amazing and original Pixar's ideas are and their movies are. This movie is about a man who, with balloons, flies his house to South America and then has an adventure there to park his house on the top of a waterfall in South America. Meanwhile, fighting another old man in a blimp with talking dogs. If you pitched that to someone like I just did, they would say,
You're crazy.
let's call the police to get you off whatever crazy meds you are on. Because that sounds ridiculous.
This sounds about the same as Taika Waititi trying to pitch Jojo Rabbit to the studios. So there you have it.
Imagine that meeting.
But either one of them is crazy. And this story that you're talking about, like, I'm sorry to like interrupt and talk
No,
about yours
go.
as well, but holy crap, I love it so much. There you go.
Just, it is amazing. And they do it, and he goes through and he has this adventure with this kid that, while he never considers like his son, it is in a way as well, with him and his wife never having children.
He
Him-
sends off snipe hunting to start out the
Exactly.
movie.
And he is that grumpy old man, and he does all of those things, but he does all of this. He goes on this crazy, ridiculous adventure for his wife and for their love, and it is so moving. And he does it all, and he carries on the adventure that they never could. And as much as as I think the one at the beginning does make me cry more, but as they get to the end of the movie and he finds the adventure book that she had filled with their life, I am tearing up. Right, if you cannot hear it in my voice, like, oh my gosh, what a movie!
Josh, we've had a deep night.
Oh my gosh, because we recorded, so obviously Inside Out is already out. So we recorded Inside Out and this on the same night, and so we've had a lot of deep, moving
some
moments.
deep conversation.
So thank you, Pixar. for
Well,
that.
on a fun note with Up, just before we kind of move on to the next one, I was very proud of this, so I have to toot my own horn here. I got Josh to do a promposal with
She
Up,
did.
and we used our little brother. He was, how old was he at the time? Like 6 or 7.
yeah.
And we had him dress up in his scout uniform and go and ask a girl to go to, was it
Prom, yeah. He had balloons and stuff.
Yeah, so he like went and like brought balloons and like asked her in the class. So there's a video somewhere, but it's so cute.
It is.
I was very proud of that idea. So just like a fun little like, if you need promposal ideas, who knows if prom is happening this year? But if you need them, there's one for you.
Exactly.
Virtual prom, you ask your date over FaceTime or TikTok or whatever app the kids are using these days, and then you just fake TikTok that you're dancing back and forth and make a series of videos that way.
There you go.
Social media plan, I win. There you go.
I'm old and I don't get TikTok, so
Yes, you are. Is it my number 2 turn now?
Let's do it. Case number 2.
My number 2 is Brave.
Brave.
And one of the reasons is because Allie's story is true. I did tell everyone that I was dating the girl who looks like Merida from Brave around our small college.
Y'all should see these two. They're looking at each other, and it's so cute.
And yeah, I really like that. And I also enjoyed the aspect of just same as Allie. Like, I think it's always cool when there's like women who are just doing their thing. And that's what this whole tale is about. Also, she fights a bear
yeah,
or two. I think, yeah, just one bear
very
singularly.
impressive.
Also, there's a wood carver, which is hilarious. And I think like the idea of like a lot of that lore of that area always has intrigued me. And so that film really brings it out to me. But also, I just thought that the sassy redhead who was, you know, fighting for her own hand was a badass. And that's who I end up marrying, is not Merida from Brave, but Allie from the place she's from.
Yes, she is Scottish.
And also with many Easter eggs, there is a Easter egg in that one in the woodcarver's house with Sully from Monsters Inc.
Yep.
being carved on
What?
a... Y'all ever heard of... Okay, so like before we move on, I know that Allie still has her 2 and we all have our number 1s, but
Yes.
have y'all ever heard of the... What is it called? The Pixar Theory, I think it's what it's called. If you look up something like that, like Pixar Theory or something like that, this person has an entire website dedicated to the idea that all of the Pixar movies are connected
Yes.
in a way, and it's like this crazy weird thing where it's like the lady from Brave is like Boo, who like through one of the other movies was sent back in time, and so that's why she has like that wood carving and everything like that. It's crazy.
This website, just to point people out, it's intriguing but also terrifying, because literally you have to say, like, here's what it says: all of the Pixar movies actually exist within the same universe. You're currently viewing the Pixar movies in chronological order. And then there's a box with a door that says click to enter. I did it. They moved. But yeah, anyhow, that's it. So pretty cool thing. I didn't know about this
Check
until
that out.
now.
It's pretty like interesting. Some of the things are pretty stretched, like not gonna lie, but it's interesting to look at, and you see like where they're coming from and how it could be possible.
Cool.
But I don't think there's gonna be no
Allie,
Pixar
you
like
know what we're doing later.
Avengers.
No, that's rad. Okay, Al, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Coco. Another one that's just it's a tearjerker. It's a sweet story. It has incredible music, fantastic animation. We already kind of talked about it, but it's another one that just There's something about those ones that just like really get to your heart that just kind of stick with you. So that's
It's about family. It's about music, tradition.
yeah.
It does.
And it's about that sometimes breaking tradition is not a bad thing, because I am the kind of person that I like certain traditions and I like to have things like that, but I also like to recognize that sometimes going outside of the norm is not such a bad thing and can end up being a really positive thing, which is what happens with him. Is that his family has this is the way that they do things and this is the way that things are, and he wants to break out of that, and he gets a lot of criticism from his family and a lot of judgment from his family, but it ends up being such a positive thing for him in his life. And I just really relate to that. So, yeah.
I want to watch so many of these movies.
I know. I want Pixar marathon tonight.
I double dog dare you to have a Pixar marathon with me and not fall asleep.
I cannot promise that I will not fall asleep because I always fall asleep in movies, but we can have a Pixar marathon.
I triple dog dare you.
Sorry, that doesn't affect me.
Not the triple dog dare.
But peer pressure.
All right, who's excited to get into number one?
Number one. Drum roll, everyone. Josh.
My number one is a movie that moves me to tears. It is a movie that tugs on my heartstrings. It has an all-star cast, and it's a movie that you have already heard me talk about in length in our last episode. My number one is Inside Out. And I get a lot of flack for that. If I ever tell anyone that Inside Out is my number one Pixar movie, people give me tons. They're like, what the heck? Inside Out, when there's everything, when there's all the Toy Stories, when there's cars and everything like that. Oh my gosh. If you didn't, please go back and listen to our Inside Out episode. If you haven't watched it, please watch it and listen to our Inside Out episode for a full, extremely deep analysis. But like Ali mentioned before, Inside Out is so incredible because it teaches us that while we all like to be happy, our other emotions are so crucial to not only who we are as human beings, but to our progression in life, for us becoming who we are, and for us to deal with the things that go along with being a human. And the world that they build for Inside Out is incredible because they have the real world that's going on, but the people controlling Riley in the real world exist inside of her mind. And this entire world that they built inside her mind that all relate directly to things outside of it. And they make you like catch funny little things, like when they're like, oh yeah, let's just send this one up and it has triple dent gum, and it'll just make you like, you're like, oh yeah, I know stuff like that, and different things like that. It's so intriguing. It's so thoughtful. It's so well done. The cast is amazing. Amy Poehler, Phyllis Smith, Mindy Kaling, Bill Hader. They're all so incredible. And I cry all the time when I watch. I'm pretty sure because I watched it last night. I cried 3 times, I'm pretty sure, watching it. And I was like, no shame crying because it is amazing. And it teaches you that growing up and change can be so hard. But if you give place to those emotions, those can be some of the strongest. Your saddest moments can be some of your happiest moments in your life. Those can be some of the strongest experiences that shape you as a person and become part of your core memories, part of who you really are, if you let it be there and realize that it's completely normal, that life isn't meant to be one straight joyride, but it's meant to be, you're a person, and people have different emotions, and there's a reason for that. So that's all I can say beyond that. Is it's incredible. So Inside Out is hands down my number one movie, and I love it. And please watch it if you haven't.
Amazing film. Al.
My number one is one that I think it's my number one because it's been really important to me and it came out at a really important part of my life. And the whole franchise was one that was a big part of my life. But my top one is Toy Story 3.
Yes!
And it's my favorite of the Toy Story movies. I put up a huge mental block about seeing Toy Story 4 because of how much I love Toy Story 3. I did end up liking Toy Story 4. It didn't make my list, but I do like that movie. I thought it was really fun. But Toy Story 3 is my favorite because I feel like I grew up with Andy. It came out when we talked about this. It came out when I was little. And I just remember growing up watching the first one and then loving the second one when it came out. And then the third one came out right before I went to college. And I get emotional just thinking about seeing that movie sitting next to my mom in the theater. And as Andy's getting ready to go to college, thinking about how I was getting ready to go to college and I was leaving behind being a kid and having to grow up. And it's really emotional to think about. And I just remember my mom like reaching over and squeezing my hand at one point in the movie. And that like little moment, I don't even know if she remembers it, but that little moment just like meant so much to me with my mom, just as I was about to go off to college. And yeah, that's really it. Just that emotional aspect of growing up with Andy and seeing that before I went off to school. And yeah.
I'm just so happy that I'm not the only person that thinks that Toy Story 3 is the best one.
It's the best one.
Toy Story 3 is a powerful film, and yeah, you talk about that one the most actually of all the Pixar films. I'm a little embarrassed. I'm not gonna lie to you. My top movie is one Allie's gonna hate.
Oh man.
But it's
The Good Dinosaur.
The Good Dinosaur. Allie hates dinosaurs. She doesn't believe they're real.
What?
Allie is not a believer in dinosaurs.
First of all, I've never seen The Good Dinosaur. Second of all, completely untrue. I 100% believe in dinosaurs. I don't believe in aliens. And I'm not ashamed of that.
It's fine. My number one film is based around one of Allie's least favorite animals in the world. It is Ratatouille.
Whoa.
Yeah. I know
Wow.
not everyone would assume that.
That was a surprise.
Ratatouille for me, I am a person who loves cooking, and I love the message in this film that anyone can cook, for one. But it also is a film that was very empowering, saying that anyone can do anything they want to do. I know a lot of other films within the Pixar universe have a similar message to it, but this is one that I felt was the most empowering because it's about a rat who wants to be a chef. I love food.
Right?
It's ridiculous. It's just so out there. But what the real message is that people should have taken home from it is like, stop putting people in boxes. Allow people to test their potential. Even if we have to have other people to help us along the journey, anyone can accomplish anything they desire to become. And in this one, Remy starts out in a colony of rats above this little lady's cottage, and ends up down in Paris and working at a Michelin star restaurant. Even though it's a failing Michelin star restaurant, he's still working there with someone who's also the most unlikely character to actually progress and grow. And for me, one, I love food. Two, I always thought it would be fun to be a chef. I'm still young, so I could still do it one day, but who knows? Number three, I just thought I just love, like I said, food, and I just love the story behind this so much. So yeah, for me, my number one film from Pixar is Ratatouille. So sorry, Al, I love that film a ton.
It was on my list.
It was on your top
I know,
10,
but what I'm
Chase.
saying is, I'm not saying this. I just know how much Al hates mice and rats. So I'm not trying to terrify your dreams with. We're gonna have to watch this film eons and eons, but so much. But it was just a great film all around. So thank you for tuning in. Josh, do you have anything to add about Pixar before you kind of bounce out?
Just besides the fact that Pixar is amazing, and again, at your own convenience and comfort, to check out Onward, because it's the latest Pixar film. It is amazing. And we also they just barely released the second or the first full length. I don't remember if it's the first or second full length trailer for Soul, Pixar's next movie, but it is looking like it's going to be incredible as well. Jamie Foxx. It's looking good. I did want to throw out, because I'm that sort of person, just here's also, because I do have an active that I keep up and update when I see new movies, list of all of my favorite Pixar movies. So I just wanted to give you the quick rundown on the rest. And you could hate me, love me, whatever. And so you already heard my top 10. I have seen all of them, which a lot of people haven't, because some of them flew a lot more under the radar. Here's 11 through 22. We got Finding Dory, Incredibles 2, Toy Story, Ratatouille, Monsters University, Toy Story 2, Bug's Life, Toy Story 4, The Good Dinosaur, Brave, Cars 3, and Cars 2.
Nice.
So that was just your little... Cars 3 and Cars 2 are the only ones that I look at and I say I like, but they're not because I'm not going to say that all the rest of these are life-changing, but all of the rest of these are really deep and have a lot of underlying message and everything like that. And Cars 3 and Cars 2 were the only ones that I would argue not as much so. Cars 3 more so than Cars 2. Cars 2, if anything, is I think I could be wrong on this, and call me out if I am. I think Cars 2 is the only Pixar movie to have like a rotten score on Rotten Tomatoes.
I don't know.
It looked, I would guess so, based off of what I was looking at on Wikipedia when I was making my list.
39% on Cars 2, and everything else is above 70%.
I don't think I've ever seen Cars 2.
Oh.
Cars 2, I think, is like the Grand Prix one.
I don't think I've seen.
What's number 3 where the gas guzzler?
Number 3 is he's like at the end of his career, and he's
Oh.
working with that one person at the new company to get faster, but then he ends up kind of like training her, and she ends up racing.
I didn't watch that one at all.
It's very possible you haven't. A lot of people didn't. They were very lackluster compared to the first one.
Yeah, I guess like I didn't know a lot about some of these films, and I think that honestly I haven't watched all of them. So Josh, good on you for keeping it up. I do want to do a quick shout out of something that Pixar does that is incredibly amazing, and the one that stood out to me the most, obviously, recently was the one of the little like bow that she eats, like in The Incredibles
shorts?
2. Yeah, the shorts. But Pixar does some amazing shorts, and so all of them are available currently on Disney Plus. Shout out, pay us. All the works. But yeah, so if you ever want to go like do some little investigations into some fun little movies that are, if you don't have a ton of time to just sit down, go watch a Disney short. They're usually between like 3 to 10 minutes, and they're amazing. So yeah, that's my shout out. Anything else before we kind of close out this episode?
No, I'm good.
No, just check us out, and thank you for listening. And I would love to, I know that you might not have the time to do this, but if you do, if you know, for some reason unknown to us, or at home for long periods of time, feel free to make your own Pixar top 10 list and message it to us, and we would love to see it.
Yeah. So thank you so much for tuning in to the Pause Rewind and Play podcast. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your love, and especially Allie, thank you for joining us.
Of course.
Thanks
for having me.
And we'll catch you next time on the Pause Rewind and Play podcast, and let us know, what are your top 10 Pixar films?
Remember me.